Hello everybody and welcome to 3C Woodworking. This time I didn't cut off my head. I checked the videos first to make sure that everything was good. I hope everybody's having a good day and staying safe, staying home, working if you have to. I know I do. Anyway, without further ado, it's good to have you here. For all those that's already watched several of my videos, I want to say thank you. And please like and subscribe. I'm going to knock off the talking a little bit and I'm going to kind of show you around. I've made some new changes to the shop. I started off by getting the new DeWalt, the DWS 713. Totally satisfied with it. I wouldn't buy any other chop saw other than DeWalt or a what's the name brand? Rigid. And the reason is because the way the base plate is, which I mentioned in one of my other videos. Alright, let me knock off the chatting. I'm going to grab I'm using my phone, and I know the video quality is not all that great, so please bear with me as we kind of go through. I'm going to show you some of the updates, show you my new corbel design. Well, not really new. I did this corbel probably about 2 years ago. Anyway, I watch a lot of YouTube channels. I've learned a lot from some of the other woodworkers, like the French cleat wall. Take a good look because this is about to change. What I want to do here is I want to take and I want to have a place. I have some other drills. I want to put those up. When I have those hung, I want the drill bits and stuff that they're over in the turn. I have other bits that go with it that I'd like to have all together. I have a sanding cabinet, if you will. I want to upgrade that, and I want to make that to where I can hang that on the wall. I want to take these Bossner bits out of their case, and I'm going to take and make a holder for those. Let me come grab the phone. Okay, let's see if I can do this without being all shaky. So, let's start. We're going to start off by trying to get a good look here. Here's the pipe clamp. This thing works pretty incredible. Real simple design. It's just, here you got 3 pieces of plywood laminated together, and then 2 here, and it's going through, and I made sure, let's move this out of the way. I made sure that when I made this, I left the holes rather loose. This way nothing got snagged up. I got this idea from Jay Bates. I followed some of the things that he did, but not quite all of them. One of them is this arm that just swings into place. This is using a 18-inch bar that I got from Home Depot. Anyway, that takes care of that. So, this was a very, look, it's definitely worth the time and the money and the energy to get one of these, because I'm working on a board right now, which this is going to be a shelf. I'm sorry for moving around so much. I'm trying to do this. I'm not used to doing things while holding the camera, so you just tighten it up like so, and it holds it. Now, it's pretty sturdy. I moved the bench and not the workpiece. So this is the shelf, which is going to be for one of the neighbors across the street. We have a Roman OG profile. We're using Popular, which is a hardwood. Let's pull this out of the clamps. Bring it over here to the train. You can look at it. This measures, he requested that it would be 9 by 27. So it's 9 inches wide and 27 inches long. It has the Roman OG profile running around it with a 1/4 inch round over on the ends. This is going to get the Lichtenberg, which is a really good choice because it's rather grainy. And when doing the Lichtenberg, that is really essential. And this is poplar, which is, it is a hardwood, but it's a softer of the hardwoods. So the end result will be quite nice. All right, moving on. Let's move on over here. So, are you ready for this? Here's a very unique corbel. What you're about to see is what I call the French cleat corbel. And here it is. It's a corbel with a French cleat design. That's the corbel itself, and then here is the base plate. Let me leave it down. Here you notice, there you go. There's a through hole. You would screw this into the stud. Inside is another 45. So when it's done, all you have to do, let's see if I can do this right with the camera. One moment. With this design, all you have to do is drop that in and slide it down. And there's your corbel. So what I use here is white oak, Roman OG, mitered at the corners. On the top, it's a 1/4 inch round over on both sides. This was done using the router table that is on the train. And it sits in there and it works as a router table. I've shown you this in other videos. Just sits down inside there. There's that. So, back to the corbel. It's going to sit like this. Bear with me for a moment. Make sure I get this placed correctly. Ah, there we go. No. Wait a minute. Okay, hold on. Ah, there it is. Okay, I'm sorry. Got a little twisted around. So that will sit flush to the back. That plate gets mounted to the wall. Then it'll sit on there like this. And with this corbel, you have about 1/2 of an inch. And then there's the profile. I don't know if I hope you can imagine that all set up. But I find this design pretty cool. So what we're going to do here is this is dark walnut. Move this out of the way. It's the Varathane dark walnut stain. I don't remember exactly how much this cost. Picked it up at Home Depot because they stopped selling the Minwax. So that's going to be the stain. And then here's my finish. Now, the lacquer thinner is $7.97 a can. And the wipe-on poly that I use, see if you can read that, it's the gloss, and that's $14.09 a can. Now, I generally use both of these when I do my wipe-on poly. Here, see if I can get it placed to where you can see it. Okay, that works. Here, I have just a small cup, and I go about halfway through using the wipe-on poly, and then about a quarter of that, or half of that, for the thinner. And I mix that up with a stir stick. I take one of these shop towels here, I cut it, and that's what I do my poly, and I make sure to wear a glove. Okay, now I also have this white Scotch-Brite, and what I like to do before I start the urethane process is I like to rub this across to see if it's going to catch. If it catches anywhere, you didn't sand enough, go back and sand. I'm sanding using a 120 grit sandpaper, and that's because I want the stain to soak in. If I were to go to a 220 and even a 320 and I'm trying to apply stain, it really won't soak into the wood. Alright, moving on. So, you've seen the French cleat wall before, and all of this is going to change, as I was saying earlier. But enough of that. On to the new miter saw. Boy, I tell you what, this thing is a real piece of work. I love it. It came perfectly square, straight out of the box. I currently have it set for a miter, but I guess I wasn't paying attention to the directions. On a vertical cut, from here up, it will only allow for a 4-inch cut. Whoops, I was trying to do a miter, which, back here, didn't go all the way through. But all is not lost. Because this is a compound miter, all I have to do is tilt this to a 45, set this back to 90, remove this, and cut that sucker the other way, and that'll work just fine. Now, this I'm going to rebuild, so instead of this piece running up along on top of the bed, I'm going to make another one to where it sits at the same level as the bed, and I think I want to make a zero clearance insert plate here. And Fisher Shop, I think it's called, he made a dust collection for this. I think I might want to do something like that. Not sure yet. Then, of course, you have the sturdy built bench. Now, oh, and there's one of my cross-cut sleds, and I still have that pile of wood. As you notice, this has all been cleaned off. That's about to get cleaned out, but that wood that's stacked up there is definitely for an upcoming project. Coming over here, my latest build is I made out of old pallet wood a cabinet. And that's the MDF covered with the white oak. This isn't done yet. There's going to be a divider going all the way here, and then we're going to put in drawers. I'd like to have 3 to 4 drawers on each side so that I can take all of this mess and put some order to it all. And then I have all this clutter, which part of the reason I made the bench was to put all this stuff to clean off the other bench. So we're going to make a holder for all of these. Going to make a holder for that and going to put that to use. Got lucky and got a friend that passed that off to me. It's used. Don't know how good it works yet. Haven't used it. We're about to find out. Up here, is another one of those same type of corbels. These ones were made out of mahogany, 3/4 inch. The dimensions are exactly the same. But that's getting ready to go too. Because I think what I want to do is I want to make this another French cleat wall. I want to have ready access to any and every tool that I own. And then here on the cabinet, some of the little things that I've made on the bandsaw, including a couple neat looking handles. I don't know if you can see the contour of that. See that? Isn't that cool? Here's another handle. I don't know. I like making handles. I thought that was kind of cool. Alright, so inside is where I keep all my glue and finishes. Obviously my sunglasses, tape, and all kinds of things that I want to keep the dust out of. And then over here is the fence for the router table. I'm going to put dust collection on it. I still have this yet. And I moved the chisel box over here for the time being. I want individual holders for the French cleat wall for all this to sit. I want a place for this sandpaper to sit. So if you watch upcoming videos, you're going to see some of that. Excuse me. Here's a lot of my recycled wood. Some hardwood back there. Got some beautiful red oak. Just waiting to be used. All my square stock. Some 3/4 inch square. But all of this is in the process of being changed, but I've got work going. So, still got to get back to the spoon display. But in the meantime, now that's still sitting upstairs in the office, waiting for the hinges. It's been delayed for a moment. Been working on these corbels, getting these done. I just took them off the wall, sanded them up real good, cleaned them up. Getting ready to do those. And I was playing around, made the, what is this called now? I don't remember. This is a joint that they use when joining, they're doing timber framing. Oh, the scarf joint. There it is. It's called the scarf joint, which I thought was really cool. And right there, there's supposed to be enough room for 2 wedges to wedge against themselves, and that's supposed to hold it nice and tight. I caught a video, thought it was really cool, decided I wanted to make one, and there it is, a scarf joint. So another project that I've got going is down here. I got a bunch of wood that I got to mill out for some drawers. On top of that, I'm making a box for a friend of mine. I'm going to hold it on here so you can have time to copy if you want. I have a friend of mine that was wanting a box. So I bought what I thought was a 12 by 36, and it turned out to be, let's see, I changed the dimensions. It was like 11 and 7/8 and 7 and 7/8. It wasn't what I thought it was. So I had to redo the measurements. I try to hold all this stuff so you can kind of see all my notes. Okay, so, and this was my cut layout. Let me get my glasses on so I can see. All right, there we go. So, as you can see, I took that project board, labeled everything, and I already had all the cuts all worked out. This helps speeds up the process. Then, I'll try to hold it steady so that you can write some of this stuff down in case you decide to make it. So there's all the dimensions of everything that I was making. So, let's take a look at it. I'm going to tell you about my likes and my dislikes and what's going on with it. Okay, so here it is. Here's the box. All the cuts, and I'm trying to speed around. We're going to go back to the finger joints in a minute. And I was working along. Now, I like things to be perfect or as close to perfect as I can get. I'm not even really concerned too much with that gap. That's passable. I can live with that. But the problem was, I'm going to try to hold this up so you can see. The problem was right here in the finger joints. You can see gaps I had to fill, but let me grab a pencil. I want to point something out. See if I can get the camera to focus here. It's having difficulty focusing, but maybe it's because I'm moving too much. Let me see if I can set this down. Okay. If you look here, in each one of these fingers, you can see the lines. These are the grain of the wood. These ones are pretty good, but these ones are extremely weak, and they were breaking apart. And it was because of the way that I had made the cut. On this board, the grain direction, let me turn, hold on. On this board, the grain direction is going this way. And so I cut into it going that way, which was not good because I started getting a lot of tear out all through here. Let me see if I can turn the box. Now when you look at this one, the grain direction is going in the same direction as the fingers, which is the right way. And I just can't seem to get my phone to focus in, but all up in here, it was tearing out. Hopefully you can see that. And I wasn't happy with it. So, This is a lesson learned, and I have decided, because I like everything, and this is part of that project, one of those project boards. It's very soft. I have decided to remake it. I'm going to make it to the same measurements and dimensions that I was going for originally. Hold on. But this time around, I'm going to do things a little bit different. Give me a moment. Let me spread these out. Because they got to go. There we go. They have to go in the right orientation. Otherwise, 4, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. So, you see that the grain pattern is following the same direction all the way through. This is going to be made out of one board. And we'll put miters in the corners like I started to do here, but this time I had the board sitting up this way, and that's what happened. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to lay it down, and I'm going to tilt the blade, and I'm going to make the cut, and we'll be good there. But this is the board that, these are the boards that I chose for the new box. And instead of doing finger joints on this one, I'm going with miters, because I want that grain to just follow around. Now, miters are generally a weak joint, but those are going to get reinforced with either dowels like this, going in through the end like so, or splines. If I go with splines, I have to make a spline jig. A spline is where you take and you run the board through at a 45, and you make a cut here, here, and there, and then you put wood inside the curve or the gap that the blade made, and that's supposed to strengthen the joint. But I really like that wood grain following around. And then for the inside, I have two boards to choose from. I'll probably choose this one. That'll get cut off there, and I gotta drill the 2.5 inch holes. Those are to hold a couple jars. So that's gonna get cut off, and then I thought it fell out. Where'd it go? All right. Oh, there it is. It was running away. All right, so inside the box, I'm gonna do this. And I'm going to miter the corners. Let's see, what else do we got to talk about? Well, I think that about wraps it up. Let me go ahead and set this down. Bear with me for a minute, please, as I try to get this back. I don't want to cut my head off. I did that on the last video. So for those of you that had to bear that, I do apologize. I thought it was kind of funny when I was told. I really didn't look at it. I just made the video. Alright, there we go. Hopefully you can see my head this time. I just made the video and I was kind of in a hurry. So I'm sorry. If you stuck around this long, thank you very much. I know I'm long-winded. My name's Charlie and I am a woodworker. And I've been about 2.5 years. I love doing it. I want to learn as much as I can. I hope you stay tuned. I hope to grow the channel. And I hope y'all are willing to grow with me. You know, when you take on a new hobby, you never know where it's going to take you. You know, all I wanted was a Wing Chun dummy. And here I am building all kinds of cool stuff. Everybody that sees the shop is like, wow, myself included. But it took a lot of hard work and dedication to get all this. But this is the course of following a pattern where if I had a couple dollars to spend, I was buying something like one of those little clamps. Or when I got a friend that's willing to help me out, I can take and buy something like this. I tell you what, I am not dissatisfied. DeWalt miter saw, absolutely love it. I was working for Cutting Edge Cabinets at one time. Great company, highly recommend. I cut off part of my thumb, I couldn't feel flush anymore. That's another story. Anyway, the saw that I used there was a DeWalt. Once I watched a few videos and figured out how to chew it up, it was perfect. Prior to that, I had a Makita. I got rid of it. I didn't know that I could adjust it, let alone know how, but I suppose if I would have saw the set screws on the front, I'd have been like, oh, that's how I do it. And I'd have been good to go. But they weren't there. But then when I started working for Cutting Edge Cabinets and I saw the DeWalt, and I saw it already cut square. One of them, I was doing a jewelry box drawer for Dana White's house, and I had to make every